Hey, I'm Ellie, and we're gonna do some yoga. So let's start out just sitting up on a blanket or a block or a cushion or whatever you've got. And we're gonna start by paying a little bit of attention to our feet. So taking one foot and webbing the fingers up between the toes, like so, and then squeezing them and moving them around, rolling and pulling, and anything that feels reasonable and is not quite too much pain. Don't really want to induce pain in anybody, so be aware of that as you make your choices at home. So playing around with the feet, and when enough is enough of coming up from the bottom, web the fingers down between the toes from the top and squeeze them and roll them around. I have a harder time with this one. Oof, if you can't make it all at one time, if you have to do a couple toes and then a couple of toes afterwards, that's fine. Give some love to that foot. And then we'll take the ankle in the same side hand and make a loose fist with the opposite hand. We're just gonna give our foot some taps. So you can work down into the heel, you can come up and get the sides and the arch. All over the foot. You can come to the top of the foot and ankle a little bit. Just be gentle because it's pretty bony. Good. And then you get to do the other side. So webbing the fingers up through the toes. Moving around. Hopefully it feels good. Nice pain. I had an interesting conflict. I can tell you stories while we play with our feet. I had an interesting conflict a few years ago when I broke my knee. And my lovely yoga teacher, Marina, would tell me, you don't want to push through pain. You don't want to push through pain. And then my physical therapist would say, you have to push through the pain, otherwise you won't get mobility back. And there's this fine line and this kind of question of how much pain is okay and what do you sit with and can you identify what that pain is? And it's something that I like to think about all the time during my yoga practice, even as I've healed from that injury. And if you can't identify pain, if you can't say this is what it is and this is why, and I know that that's safe for me, then that's when you listen to Marina and say, let's not push through that. If you can't identify the pain, if you know it, if it's familiar, if you say, oh, that's because this knee has a little arthritis and I know it's not going to cause more. If you know those things, it's okay to sit with it. So be aware of yourself as you practice. Take the same side ankle, same side hand. Advice you probably already know, but I'm supposed to be talking, aren't I, while we do this together? Great. Hopefully having some blood flowing through those feet. And then we're actually going to sit for a minute. So find yourself somewhat comfortable. Remember the pain conversation. And we're going to reach our hands out and just clasp the palms together. And then we're going to reach the shoulders as far away from ourselves around the spine. You can tuck the chin and get the triple chin thing going on. And then we're going to roll the shoulders back, pull them together on the back body, let them move down. And then just move through those spaces, adding on wiggles. Good. And then can you go the other way? Can you roll your shoulders up and then reach the arms out? And then pull them back. It's kind of awkward. Doesn't have to be pretty. We're just getting things moving. And then reach the arms out and cross the right arm underneath the left and either grab for your shoulders or wind your arms up into Eagle Garudasana arms. And squeeze the elbows together. And we'll just reach the elbows away and bring them down and then scoop them back in, making big circles. So your circles are moving towards and away from your body as opposed to side to side, which can be confusing if this is the first time you've done it. Some big circles. And go the other direction. Good. And then unwind the arms. Cross the left under the right. Wind yourself up. Reach the elbows away from the heart. And then make your big circles. You might be here. Good. And then go the other direction. Lovely. And unwind. Good. And then we'll reach the palms out in front of us. Palms face each other. Cross the right over the left and turn your thumbs down. So I'm going to internally rotate my thumbs down so that my palms can clasp. And then see if you could bring your arms, your hands up in towards your heart and extend any amount through the arms. You might feel this a lot in a certain spot, so remember, don't push through. You could be here, and that can be a very intense place to be, just depending on how stretched you are in your wrists and your shoulders. Switching sides, you can just switch which hand is on top, clasp the palms, roll through. And then we're going to get a strap or something like a strap. Maybe it's a belt or a t-shirt or something like that. And we're going to lift it up overhead and try to pull the strap apart and reach it back behind you. So getting some nice opening through the shoulders. You can let the strap slip through your clasp if you'd like to get a wider arm reach. Finding a lovely place to stay for a few breaths, dropping the shoulders down, the back body, pulling the strap apart. You might enjoy adding a little bit of twist. You can move through the space where there's a lot of stretch and eventually it'll become easy. And then you get to go back the other way, pausing anywhere that you find something new, something exploratory. Good, and then we're going to take the strap and place it around the back of our head. So you might need to adjust what you're using if this is not an easy place to reach. We're going to have our elbows bent at 90 degrees, shoulders width distance apart. And I'm having the strap so it's just relaxed against the back of my head. And I just want to hold it here and press the back of my head into the strap like I'm trying to make my triple chin. This is what my friend, my dear teacher and friend Callie told me when we were trying to figure out how could we counter doing some cell phone looking. And this is what the two of us came up with. This is anti-cell phone neck stretch. I'm not sure how that translates into Sanskrit. So I'm here doing a little bit of pulsing. You might be holding for several moments and then releasing. Just taking it a few times and noticing that that might be a really easy thing to do if you're in the car and driving and you're sitting at a stop sign. You could just press the back of the head into the headrest and engage those muscles and work those muscles a little bit to counter some of this heavy forward action that we're constantly doing. And then once more with the strap, we're almost done playing with it for a little bit. We're going to take the strap in front of us at shoulders width distance. Once again, arms are going to be bent to 90. Try to pull the strap apart here. Keep the arms up towards shoulder height. Drop the shoulders down the back body. You don't have to be exactly in the same posture. Maybe it's slightly different. Try not to let your wrists flop out in any direction. Just keep things straight there. Pull the strap apart. It should look like you're doing nothing and feel like you're doing quite a lot. Bring the elbows together, drop the shoulders, and then pull the strap apart. Good. Good. And setting them aside. And we're going to come to all fours. So moving aside what you're sitting on, finding your way to the middle of your mat. And finding all fours. And you might take a minute and stretch out the legs. Because yeah, we worked into the feet for a moment, but we did not really get into the legs at all. Good. And then we're going to find ourselves in a tabletop. Your hands might be slightly forward of the shoulders or underneath them. You're going to pull the belly up and in a little bit so that you can support your low back. And then we'll extend the right leg back. We're going to point and flex through the ankle and roll around in the foot. Good. And then we'll bend that right knee and pulse the right foot up towards the ceiling. Pull the low belly in. And just pulse here for a few moments. Good. And then pausing, we're going to drop onto the left elbow. So right leg is lifted, left elbow comes down. Straighten the right leg and let the right hip open on top of the left. So the whole torso, whole body is turning slightly towards that right side, supporting yourself on that forearm and the right palm. And then we're going to roll around to the ankle first, go in both directions. And then we're going to make circles with our hip, pulling the low belly in and trying to stay stable and balanced everywhere else. Go in both directions. Good. And then set that knee down, return to tabletop. Reorganize yourself and extend the left leg back. Point and flex the foot, roll around in the ankle, both directions. Then bend the left knee, flex the foot, pulse the left foot up towards the ceiling, continuing to hold strength through the front core. Good. And then we'll extend the left leg, come down to the right elbow, let the hip open, point and flex and roll around through the ankle, and go the opposite direction. And then make some big circles with your hip. Just getting movement through different parts of the body. And then go the other way. Returning to all fours. One more, we'll take Firebird to continue to warm up, getting a little bit more into the spine this time. So with our Firebird, you'll extend the right leg back like we already did. Extend the left arm forward, facing the floor. And then you're going to pull in on the exhale, rounding knee towards nose, pressing firmly into palm, the right hand, knee on the left leg, rounding. And then you'll inhale and you'll extend back out. So you curl yourself into as tight of a little ball as you can. And then you extend back out. Maybe 3 times through. Maybe 4. And then set the hand down, the knee down. Left leg lifts, right arm. Rounding in on an exhale. Inhale to extend. Taking the same number as you did on the first side. Good. And then we'll set the hips back towards a child's pose, walking the hands forward. Forehead comes down, taking a couple of breaths. Encouraging the hips actively back towards the heels by pressing into the palms. And then walking the hands over to the right side of the mat, reaching a little more with that left hand. Continuing to sink the hips back as you breathe into the left side body. And then walking both hands towards the left, reaching a little more with the right hand. returning to center. We'll drag the nose, chin, and chest along the floor, all the way out to the belly. Roll the shoulders back and lift up into a low cobra. You could choose to have your arms along your sides instead of underneath the shoulders. Light weight in them if they're in the front. And then coming down to face the floor, press up into a half push-up. Send the hips back towards your child's pose. Drag nose, chin, and chest along the floor. Lift up into a low cobra. Try to make that triple chin here. Push up or come down to face the floor, then press up. And then send the hips back into your child's pose. Once more, dragging yourself forward, lifting the heart. Come down to face the floor, press up, send the hips back. Good. And now we'll curl the toes under, lifting the hips up and back, finding a down dog. Feeling free to play around here, so you might pedal through the heels, opening up the legs a little more. You might shift hips or heels side to side. You might bend the knees a lot and send the hips back, pulling the belly in, pressing through the hands. Find some play in your down dog to open up. And what I'd like for us to do is to take that same motion we were just doing of dragging ourselves forward along the floor, coming up with our hearts, coming down to face the floor, pressing up, and then sending hips back. We're going to take that from our dog pose. So sending the hips back, it looks like this. You'll bend actively knees and elbows. You'll pull the chest and belly along the floor, scooping yourself into an up dog. You'll face the floor. You can always come down onto the knees, chaturanga, press up, and then hips go back, down dog. So maybe taking a couple of those with me. You might inhale as you drag yourself forward. Exhale as you face the floor. Inhale as you press up. And exhale, down dog. One more time through if you've got it in you. Bend everything. Inhale forward. Exhale, face the floor. Inhale, press up. Exhale, down dog. Good. After that exhale, down dog, walk the feet towards the hands, finding a fold. Bending the knees, being comfortable, nodding the head. Maybe you're grabbing for opposite arms. Maybe you're hooking the thumbs behind the ears. Finding something comfortable. Breathing into the back body. Relax through the jaw. Relax through the whole upper body. Hanging out. When you're ready to roll up on an inhale, come all the way up to stand. Shake it out at the top if you get lightheaded. I really encourage that. Here we are. So I thought we'd play a little bit more with our feet, and I've got some wonderful props here. I've got a dowel, which you could get very fancifully at your local hardware store. I realize we're not really going out that much right now, so other things that might work is like the end of a hairbrush, not the brush part of the hairbrush. Anything else that's hard and round could be, even like a ball would work, like a tennis ball or a golf ball or something like that. Because what I want us to do is just put that dowel, that hairbrush, whatever, on the floor and step on it. And you could just step on it and pause and hold it, or you could roll it if that's available with whatever you're using. Finding something hard, round. This is a 1-inch dowel. And I like to do 1 foot at a time, but you can, if you're on a dowel, do both feet. If you're on something that's singular, then just go that way. Rolling into the bottom of the foot that we already warmed up some. Make sure to get into the heel and the arch and then the outside edge and anywhere else that feels correct for you. Doing both sides. Wonderful. And when you feel even, of course, you can do this as long as you like, or maybe this is all you do and then Shavasana sounds great after that nice foot massage. That's totally fine. If you'd like to stay with us, then do. Grab a couple blocks and have them handy near you, slightly in front of you. We're going to start out by just seeing how our feet are feeling and how our knees are feeling. So we're going to come down, bending the knees a lot, coming way up high. So the heels are coming off of the ground as we come down, sort of sitting up on our heels. And the blocks are there so that you can hold onto them right here. And if that feels okay, then maybe you could roll over the heels and bring the knees down and sit the weight back a little bit onto the heels as the heels try to tent in towards one another. So it's like they could fit between your sits bones. Stretching out the feet. Good. Not staying too long. Of course, you can always stay longer if you'd like, but we'll roll back up and come to stand. And then we're going to step into the left foot and flex the right foot and cross the ankle above the knee and let the toes and the knee of the right foot point down towards the floor here. So a modified tree pose. Good. And then see if it's reasonable to fold over, maybe reaching for your blocks or for the floor. You'll notice that you want to press that right ankle back into the knee until the knee hits the wall behind it, no matter how far away that wall might be. And so that is an encouragement of hyperextension through your knee. So instead of really pressing in, could you flex the quad of that left standing leg so that it's equally pressing back into the ankle, finding strength. Good. Coming back up to stand. Continuing to hold the right ankle above the left knee. We're going to sit back into our invisible chair behind us. So, of course, if you're slipping, grab that foot. Hands can be anywhere that's comfortable. My classic is to come to heart center with the hands in prayer, sending the hips back. You'll notice tendency might be to want to shift one hip or another out. Try to hold them in midline as much as possible. Keep the lifted leg flexed. Keep lifted foot flexed. Yeah. Hopefully some nice opening in that right hip. And then standing up, setting the right foot down. Shaking out anything you might need to in that leg. And then we'll go on the other side. So flex the left foot, cross the ankle above the right knee. Toes and knee point down towards the floor. And maybe coming forward could be reasonable. Find the blocks, find the floor. Flex the right quad into the left ankle as the left ankle is pressing into the left quad. Right quad. Man, words are hard some days. Roll yourself back up when you're ready. Hopefully finding some stability and balance as you continue to hold this pose. Keep that foot flexed as you sit back into your invisible chair behind you. Try to notice if your hips want to swing out. This hip for me really does, and so I have to work hard to hold it towards midline. Wonderful. Standing up. Great. And then we're going to find our straps, or whatever we're using as a strap again. We're going to bend the right knee, standing on the left once again. Lots of balance today. And hook the strap around the sole of the foot. And then we're just going to extend the right leg. Here we are. If you're very tight in your hamstrings, maybe here you are, keeping the foot a little bit lower, feeling it out. Good. Let your elbows bend out towards the sides somewhat so that your torso can come forward over your lifted leg. Maybe this is reasonable for you. Maybe you're just grateful to be standing up. Good. Letting yourself return to a standing position. Taking both straps into the right hand, so same side as the lifted leg. We're going to externally rotate the toes so that they're turning out to the side as we open this right hip to the side, trying to flex the right quad to extend the leg. Foot is flexed actively. You could reach your arm out to the side to find a counterbalance. If your toes ever were even with your backside, then your toes would arrive there before your heel. So that's that external rotation. Good, and then we come back to midline. We take both straps into the left hand. Bring the right hand to the right hip. Encourage it to stay down. Good, because you see how it wants to hike up and squinch that side body. And then cross midline with this right leg. You might not go very far. You might go very, very far, depending on your body. Hopefully finding some nice opening through that IT band, through the outer right leg. Returning to center, bending the knee, and setting the foot to the floor. Hooking the strap around the sole of the left foot, finding your balance, and then extending the left foot. Good. Let the elbows bend out to the side as your torso comes any amount forwards over your lifted leg. I like to remind myself to reach the toes slightly back towards the shin and extend through the heel here to get a nice stretch to the Achilles and the calf. Standing up tall from wherever you are, both straps into the left hand so that we can externally rotate that left leg, open up to the side. Maybe you reach the right arm out for balance, maybe it comes to the hip, finding a good spot to be. Returning to center, both straps to the right hand, left hand to the hip, encouraging it to stay down, keeping the left side long as you cross midline with the right foot. Lovely. Returning to center, bending the left knee, setting the foot down to the floor. Whew, that's good. Hopefully the legs are feeling longer, you're feeling taller. We're not quite done yet. Some things to play with. So bending the right knee and placing the right knee once again above, or excuse me, the right ankle once again above the left knee. Having the blocks handy on the floor. Just like we came up onto our toes and bent down and saw that we could squat there sitting up. We're going to do that again. I'll show you from a side view because it might be easier. But this time with the right knee bent and having that hip opening as we do. So coming down, hands reach for the blocks and maybe move them around so that we can come up onto our back toes and the heel and your sits bones might touch. You might find balance enough here that you could release a block or not. And then lifting the hips back up, standing all the way up, and switching sides. Maybe pause with one hand towards heart center, maybe both hands. Good. Returning to the first side once again. Now lots of the same song, second verse, third verse. This is the fourth verse. Right ankle above left knee. Flex the foot actively. Sit back into your invisible chair once again. See if it's reasonable to bring that right elbow towards the sole of the left foot. No is a perfectly good answer. If it's not reasonable, maybe the right palm could come to that left foot. Ooh. And the left hand could come to the thigh, and you could turn from a slightly higher place. And then what I find trickier, though some of you may not, see if it's reasonable to put the left elbow on the right knee. Good. And then switching sides. Left ankle above the right knee. Sit back and play with your twists. Left elbow, the sole of the left foot. And then right elbow towards left knee. Modifying and staying high as is reasonable. Cool. Great. Thank you for playing around with that. We're going to come down to the floor and continue to play with some of the same shapes we've been making. So having your strap nearby, coming all the way down to your back. Good. Start out by just noticing what it feels like to lie down here. We haven't come to this space yet. Seeing how the body feels. Noticing the pelvis. We'll take a slight pelvis reset before we take any other poses from the ground. So bending the knees and bringing the soles of the feet in close to the hips, close to the sits bones. We're going to press down into the feet just slightly enough to roll the tailbone up off of the floor, maybe an inch. And then pull the low belly in. See if you can lift the front of the pelvis slightly towards your lowest ribs, extending the tailbone down towards the heels. And then set everything back down. And we're going to take that one more time. So just press into the feet, lift the tailbone up, and then see if you could lift the front of the pelvis towards the lower ribs, extending the tailbone towards the heels, and then set that back down. Good. And then finding the strap, hooking the sole of the right foot with the strap. If you are very tight in your hamstrings or your calves on that right leg, then you might keep this left knee bent here to take a little bit of the strain out. If you'd like, you could extend the left leg along the floor, but then stay active. So flexing the left foot as if you could stand on this left leg, flexing the quad. Reaching the heel of that right foot towards the ceiling, reaching the toes towards the shin. You might play a little bit with rotation, either with the strap, wiggling around a little bit, maybe pulling the foot from side to side to change the angle. Flex the right quad. Good, and then take both straps into the right hand. Externally rotate so that your right toes might come down towards the floor before your heel, and let that leg open off to the side. Once again, you're really active and strong in this left leg if it's extended, or you could keep the sole of the foot to the floor. I am feeling very grateful that there's this chair here, and I'm just letting my heel rest on it, giving a little of an assist to the pose. So if there's something nearby in your home, you could do that. You can also place a block or a bolster or a pillow or whatever you've got right underneath that hip. I'll show you on the second side when we get there. It doesn't take any of the work, the stretch out of the posture, but it lets the nervous system calm down a little bit to feel a slight support. Return to center. Both straps to the left hand, right hand to the hip. Encourage yourself to keep that right hip down to the floor and to press it away from your heart. As you cross midline. So first, just opening up through the IT band, flex the right quad, reach through that heel. And then if it's asking for it, let that right hip come up, finding a twist as you let the left foot come down to the floor. Shoulders stay flat. The right foot reaches back up. Unhook the strap. Let the right leg lie down along the floor next to the left. How does it feel? Maybe a little different than before. Bending both feet, soles of the feet to the floor. Hooking the strap around the left foot. Extend up towards the ceiling with the sole of that foot. Decide if you'd like to keep that right knee bent or extend it. Reach through the heel. Flex the left quad. Maybe play around with the angles on the strap, shifting the hip slightly. Good, and then both straps into the left hand, turning the left toes off to the side as you open up, trying to reach them towards the floor. And so what I was describing on our first side is if you had a block or a pillow handy, as you opened up this leg, you might just place that block underneath the left thigh so that you can support yourself here if your foot's not coming all the way to the floor. Still feels like a lovely opening through the groin, that whole inner leg as I'm extending and externally rotating, but gives me a little bit of an assist that feels calmer than like this strange hovering of a leg. Returning to center. Both straps into the right hand, left hand to the hip. Hold your hip down to the mat and also extending it away, finding length through that left side body as your right leg crosses midline. Reach through the heel, flex the quad to straighten the leg. And then if you'd like, letting that left hip roll up, finding a twist. Once again, I get to use furniture as an assist here. Hooking my heel onto this lovely chair. The chair is my teacher today. Returning to center. Releasing the strap from the foot, letting both legs come out long. Noticing the difference in how your legs are feeling from the start of this series. Hopefully you feel tall and like there's a little bit more blood flow. Yeah. So we'll bend the soles of the feet, bend the knees so the soles of the feet can come to the mat once again. We're going to find our bridge pose. We'll press into the feet, rolling the hips up, and then you can either walk your shoulders underneath here and clasp your palms, continuing to press into the feet and move your heart towards your chin, or you might find that support you were just using for your thigh and place it underneath your sacrum
to have a supported bridge pose. Whatever you would like, start winding yourself down. If you are in an active bridge, continuing to press into both feet equally and realizing how you tend to roll out towards that pinky toe edge, and seeing if you could let the big toe ball mound press down as well. If you clasp your hands in one specific way, switching that clasp now so that the opposite thumb is on top. Good, and then releasing the shoulders, slowly rolling yourself down to the mat, pulling the knees into the chest, rocking side to side, or stirring the knees like you're stirring a big pot. Good. And then the knees come over the hips, and we'll flex the right ankle and place it over the left knee, making our figure four shape once again. Thread the arms between the thighs and grab the back of the left thigh. You can shift side to side here, finding a different opening through the hip. Trying to stay heavy with the sacrum down. If you notice yourself really rolling up on that sacrum, then maybe you release that threaded needle and you just hold on to the thigh and to the knee. Good. Being aware of what props are around you, we're going to hold the same shape with the legs and drop the outside of the left thigh and the sole of the right foot to the floor, finding a twist so shoulders stay down. You could take a hold of that right ankle with the left hand. You could take a hold of the left foot with the right hand. I think I maybe have been tongue-tied quite a bit. So if I'm cueing the wrong hands, well, you've got a video. The teacher just goes, "You're on your own, kid. Figure it out." Good. Releasing any clasp you might have, rolling the knees back up over the hips and switching sides. So this time, left ankle over right knee. If you liked threading the needle through the figure four, then do that again. Good. And when you're ready, dropping that outside of the right leg and the sole of the left foot to the floor, finding a twist on the second side, taking any clasps you liked from that previous side. Rolling up once you feel even. And this is the last thing I'll ask us to do before taking Shavasana. So if there's some final poses that you might like, of course, you can take those. Otherwise, we'll lie down. And because we've used a lot of props today, you probably have them handy. So you might place your blocks just outside of your hips so that as you lie in Shavasana, you could turn the palms up and place the hands and wrists on blocks or pillows, a little bit of support. Relaxing the shoulders down. Taking your time to settle in here, getting any wiggles out that you need. Letting the shoulders be comfortable to the floor. Softening the throat. Finding space between the teeth. And letting the tongue fall from the roof of the mouth. The eyes sink a little bit more into the sockets. And the brow is smooth. Giving yourself a few moments to find a soft, quiet breath. Taking as much time as you'd like to lie in this Shavasana. If you're ready to move on, placing the soles of the feet to the floor, rolling off to one side or the other, and using the strength in the arms to lift you up to a comfortable seat. Bringing the hands to the heart. Taking a few moments to listen to your breath. Seeing if you can give complete attention to your breath for 3 inhales and exhales. Thank you for practicing. I hope you stay well, and I'll see you next week.